Today, we're diving deep into a huge crisis unfolding in West Bengal, where millions of people are waking up to find that their most basic democratic right, the right to vote, has just, well, disappeared.
So, let's set the scene. It's April 2nd in Malda, West Bengal. A national highway is completely blocked, and inside an office, 7 judicial officers are being held hostage. This standoff lasts for 9 incredibly tense hours. But here's the thing. The people who took them hostage, they weren't hardened criminals. They were teachers, farmers, shopkeepers, everyday people. And they'd been pushed to this extreme because they had just found out that their names had been wiped from the voter list.
And they were far from alone. This wasn't some small, isolated incident. No, this was the result of a statewide process that has deleted a jaw-dropping 6.1 million people from the electoral rolls.
So in this explainer, here's what we're going to cover. First, the crisis in West Bengal itself. Then, we'll look at the software that was deciding who gets to vote. We'll ask if the official reason, immigrants, is just a smokescreen. We'll follow the data's really alarming story, and then uncover a strange flip side, the adding of voters. And finally, we'll talk about why your vote, yes, your vote, is at stake.
All right, so how on earth did we get to this point? Well, it all kicked off back in November 2025 with something called the Special Intensive Revision, or SIR. Now, the stated goal was pretty simple, just clean up the voter lists. The result, though? Total chaos. The scale of this is just hard to wrap your head around. In total, 1.21 crore people were affected. That's 12.1 million. To put that into perspective, think about it this way. For every 6 voters in a family, one of them had their right to vote either questioned or completely taken away. But look, the deletions are only half the story. Another 6 million voters got thrown into this brand new, totally made-up category called suspected voter. Their names weren't gone, but they weren't confirmed either. They were just stuck in this weird electoral limbo.
So you have to be asking, who or what was making these massive decisions that affect millions of lives? It wasn't an election officer, it wasn't a judge, it was a piece of software. An algorithm that was just told to compare 20-year-old voter lists with today's.
Now, the official reason they gave for flagging all these people was something called a logical discrepancy. Sounds really serious, right? But what it actually means is just minor, super common errors, the kind of typos and mistakes on official documents that millions of us live with every single day. And, what's really wild is just how low the bar was set. We're talking about a tiny spelling mistake, like a U where an O should be, an incorrect gender marker on a form from decades ago. Or get this, if the software thought the age gap between a father and son was too small or too big, any of these could get your right to vote snatched away.
And this might be the most shocking part. The software was never even properly tested. A senior official from the Election Commission actually admitted, on the record, that they had no clue what its accuracy rate was. The democratic fate of millions was decided by a complete black box.
And just how unreliable this system was became terrifyingly clear on March 24th. In a single moment, a quote-unquote technical glitch made the software mark every single one of West Bengal's 70 million voters as suspected. Now, they fixed it a couple of hours later, but it showed just how frighteningly powerful this untested code really was.
So the official story for this whole painful exercise was to find and remove illegal Bangladeshi immigrants from the voter lists. It's a huge political talking point for sure, but the question is, does the data actually support that claim?
And right away, you see this massive contradiction. The stated target was one group of people, but the data shows the people who were hit the hardest were from a completely different community. Let's dig into the numbers. See, if the real goal was to find illegal immigrants, you would expect to see the highest numbers in Muslim-majority areas, right? Especially near the border. But the data shows the complete opposite. Those areas had the lowest rates of suspected voters. The highest rates, more than double the state average, were found in areas populated by the Matua community, who are actually Hindu Dalit refugees from Bangladesh. So when journalists and citizen groups finally got their hands on the data, which the Election Commission was pretty reluctant to share, by the way, an even more disturbing pattern started to emerge.
Okay, just take a look at this table. In one constituency after another, the percentage of Muslim voters who ended up on the suspected list is just wildly out of proportion with their actual population. Look at Kolkata Port. They make up 50% of the voters, but 82% of the suspected list. Or Bhabanipur, 20% of voters, but 52% of the list. The numbers just don't add up.
And this chart, wow.
This really drives the point home on a smaller scale. We're in the same constituency, Rananagar, using the same software, under the same rules. In the Hindu majority polling booths, only about 3% of voters got flagged. But you go to the Muslim majority booths, maybe just down the road, and that number shoots up to as high as 58%. And this wasn't just happening to the poor or people without documentation. A Kargil war veteran, a man who literally took bullets for his country, was declared a suspected voter. A retired high court judge had his name deleted. And in a moment of pure bureaucratic absurdity, even some of the local booth-level officers who were in charge of this whole review found their own names on the suspected list.
And here is why all of this really matters for elections. In 234 out of 294 assembly seats, the number of voters who've either been deleted or flagged as suspicious is actually larger than the margin of victory from the last election. The potential to completely swing an election outcome here is immense.
But wait, the story doesn't stop there, because while millions of legitimate voters were being taken off the rolls, some serious allegations started popping up about a parallel strategy, the illegal addition of new voters.
West Bengal's own chief minister has alleged that the BJP is systematically adding names of people from other states onto Bengal's voter list. We've seen reports of huge bulk submissions. There's even video of one party worker who was allegedly caught holding 400 applications when the legal limit for one person is 50. And this isn't a one-off thing. Similar accusations have been made in past elections in other states too.
When you step back and look at the whole picture, this crisis is so much bigger than just one state or one election. It hits at the very core of our democracy. I mean, if your right to vote can be decided by some untested algorithm and a process nobody understands, what does that mean for every single one of us?
Okay, so the good news in all this is that it was caught before the election happened. So if you are a voter in West Bengal, or if you know anyone who is, there are some really important steps you can take right now. 1. Go to the Election Commission website and check your name. 2. If your name is missing or flagged, file an appeal. Do it right away. And 3. Spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family, make sure everyone you know checks their status.
We'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. The process to fix all these mistakes is happening now, but this whole episode raises a really fundamental question for all of us. If your most sacred democratic right can be erased by a piece of bad software, by a technical glitch, is it truly a right at all?